You know, homemade bread doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need special tools, long kneading, or complicated techniques. Just simple, basic ingredients. Mix the dough, fold it gently, and bake. That's it. Your bread is ready. Easy, right? No stress, no overthinking. Just a relaxed method that works. Let's get started. There's honestly nothing better than homemade bread straight from the oven. Warm, crusty, and full of flavor. Today, I'll show you a simple method that gives you perfect results every time. Let's start with the water. Here I'm using 290 grams of water, which is about 10.25 ounces. This is just normal tap water. My kitchen humidity is quite high, so tap water works perfectly for me. But if your kitchen is cold, use lukewarm water instead. That helps the yeast activate better and gives the dough a nice rise. I'm using 1 teaspoon yeast, around 3 grams. If your kitchen is very cold, you can slightly increase the yeast. About 1.5 teaspoons works well in colder conditions. Next, I'm adding extra virgin olive oil. This step is optional. You can skip it if you want. But honestly, it adds such a beautiful flavor and softness to the bread. I highly recommend it. Once everything is in, give it a good mix and keep it aside for a moment. Now let's weigh the flour. When I bake bread at home, I always choose bread flour. It has a higher protein content, which helps with structure and texture. I'm using 360 grams flour, which is about 12.7 ounces. Now add the salt, 1 teaspoon, around 5 grams. At this stage, you can also add dried or fresh herbs if you like. Herbs give the bread a really nice, unique flavor. So now, our yeast mixture and flour are ready. Take a large mixing bowl, add the flour, and then pour in the yeast mixture. Start mixing everything together. Stir until the dough becomes very sticky and no dry flour remains. This step is important. While you're mixing, this is the time to fix your dough texture. If the dough looks too liquid, add a little flour, just 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time. Try not to add too much flour. We want a soft, sticky dough. You can see here, this is the texture you're looking for. And if you're comfortable handling high hydration dough, you can even add 1 or 2 tablespoons of extra water. Once the dough is ready, scrape down the sides of the bowl. Cover it. Now, let the dough rest for 1 hour. This resting time is very important. It allows the flour to fully absorb the water and hydrate properly. And that's where good bread really begins. At this point, you have 2 options. If you want more flavor, cover the dough and place it in the fridge overnight instead of keeping it at room temperature. Cold fermentation develops deeper taste the longer the dough rests. The next day, bring the dough back to room temperature. Shape it, proof it, and bake. But today, we're not refrigerating the dough. We do stretch and folds. This step develops gluten naturally without kneading. Once you finish the first stretch and fold, scrape down the bowl. Cover it. Let the dough rest for 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, come back and repeat the second round of stretch and folds. With every round, you'll notice the change. The dough goes from loose and sticky to stronger, smoother, and more elastic. You know, this is a very versatile dough. You can use it to make pizza, focaccia, or even ciabatta if you like. Once the second round is done, scrape the bowl again. Cover it. Let it rest for another 45 minutes. After that, come back for the third round of stretch and folds. Each fold brings the dough 1 step closer to perfection. Soft, smooth, full of structure. When the stretch and folds are complete, we finish with a few coil folds. This step builds even more gluten. still without kneading. Gently lifting the dough and folding it over itself allows the structure to form naturally. Our dough is ready. Now it's time to portion and shape. I'm dividing the dough into 5 pieces, but you can make any size or shape you like. Just remember, when baking, always adjust the timing based on the size of your dough. Once the dough is portioned, start shaping. This dough is very soft, so I lightly use canola spray to prevent sticking. If you find it hard to roll, don't worry. Just dust a little flour on the surface. You can also use any vegetable oil spray if that's what you have. And don't stress about making perfect shapes. This is artisan bread. It's meant to look rustic. Those uneven edges actually give you more crispy ridges once baked. After shaping, lightly flour the surface. Roll the dough gently in the flour. This prevents sticking, makes it easier to handle, and gives a nicer finish. Now arrange the dough on a baking tray. Leave some space between each piece. Place the dough seam side up. As the bread bakes, those seams will open naturally, creating a beautiful, craggy, crispy top. And because this is homemade bread, perfection isn't the goal. If you prefer, you can also place the dough seam side down. Now cover the dough and let it proof for 20 to 25 minutes. While the dough is proofing, preheat your oven to 230 degrees Celsius. A properly hot oven is very important for good oven spring. After proofing, lightly dust the top with flour. Now, use a sharp knife or a bread lame and make a clean cut across the top. Before baking, spray a little water inside the baking tray. Then cover it. Covering the bread traps steam, which helps the dough rise better and gives you a beautiful crust. Bake the bread covered for the first 25 minutes. Then remove the cover and bake for another 20 minutes. Keep an eye on the color. You can adjust the timing depending on how crispy you like your crust. And look at this, beautifully baked. Golden, crispy on the outside, soft and airy inside. So how is the recipe? Did you like it? If you did, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family who love baking bread at home. And don't forget to subscribe for more homemade bread recipes. Until then, enjoy.